Yay. The hell was that? Yay. That was special. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times my kids have referred to me as Zesty, and I had to have them explain what that meant, because that's new terminology to a Gen Xer like me. I was like, maybe I am Zesty, okay? Nothing wrong with that. Zesty Z-Dog. Happy pre-Thanksgiving, everyone in the US who knows what that is, and everyone else in the world who's like, fuck Thanksgiving. Thought I'd go live. I'm in my little sunroom here, and it just was nice. We got this new chair, and it reclines, yo. Oh, man. You know, you work hard all your life just so you can buy a damn recliner like Archie Bunker. Just sit around, Edith, let me be racist and homophobic. You know, that's what the chair is for. Come on down, everyone. Let me just set this up so I can see yo comments. Sue is here in the hospital delivering turkeys. That's pretty much what every human baby is at that point. It's a turkey. So my wife is reading The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath, and for no reason. And there's a part in it she was telling me about where, you know, some like beautiful blonde dude, they're in college or something, is trying to get in her pants or whatever and says, would you like to see me naked? And she goes, yeah, whatever. And so he takes off his clothes, and her internal dialogue is, at that point, all I could see was a turkey neck and turkey gizzards, and I became rather depressed. So happy Turkey Day. Now that image will stick with you and destroy what vestige of nostalgia you had for this god-awful holiday. Erica Black getting ready for Thanksgiving tomorrow. I mean, it's not that god-awful because you have baby Ashley. You'll have fun. We have fun too. We're not gonna eat this year. We're not cooking at home. We're going to a like hot pot place in the mall. Someone said it was really good. We've been to this other hot pot place and we love it. The kids, we went for Christmas last year and the kids loved it. We're like, this is a tradition. I'm like, all right, I don't like to, you know, spend the whole day cooking. Let's do that. And then this year we're gonna try this slightly more fancier one that has like Wagyu beef, which we're not gonna order because my LDL is like, doesn't like that. And also, it turns out the regular beef's a better value. Anyways, where are we? Happy pre-day from the rest of the world, says Emma in the UK. We understand your meaning. Yes, we give thanks for the, coming to the continental US, destroying the Indians with smallpox, guns, and steel. Indians. And I'm an Indian, okay? They're not Indians. Oh, bye, Jennifer. Melanie says, I like to think of it as Gratitude Day. Well, you know, it'd be nice, Melanie, if like every day were Gratitude Day. But you know, this is the beautiful thing. Practicing gratitude, all these kind of things that the spiritual people talk about and the self-help people talk about, like the Jay Shettys and the Melanie, whatever the hell her name is, and the Tony Robbins and all these guys, you know, gratitude. It's like, that's great. Then there's like, the gratitude that is beyond any practice of it because it's naturally baked into the realization that everything is perfectly as it is and could easily be nothing, and that something is made of gratitude itself. So then you don't need a turkey day for it, although it's nice to have the reminder. You just need to stop believing in the story of you for a second. That's it. Just a second. When the story of you no longer holds weight, then there's just what is, and that is infinite gratitude. By nothing, for nothing, as everything. And as you try to talk about it, it just sounds like word salad. But I think some of you are catching what my turkey gizzards are throwing your way. Turkey neck and gizzards, man. Steve Jobs is God. That's a great handle. Zubin, what do you think about cholesterol, LDL, and keto carnivore diet going against AHA guidelines, yet people reporting great healthy results? So I did this. Okay, this is now a foray into just storytelling because I have no fucking clue about anything. I'll tell you my story. I used to believe the AHA, and for years had a very kind of low saturated fat, high carb, all the things they said to do. And, it was pudgy. I didn't feel great. But, when I did that, my cholesterol was pretty good. LDL was fine. So then when I moved to Vegas, I started doing intermittent fasting, trying keto, so high saturated fat, high animal products, like all that. And I found I felt better. I lost weight, but my LDL cholesterol went through the roof. Now, I measured a whole panel of things with Peter Attia back in the day when Peter was, just a buddy and not the famous motherfucker he is now, where, he's charging however many hundreds of thousands of dollars to celebrities to do this shit. I got it for free. And, we ran this battery of the usual, inflammatory markers, CRP, LP, little a, all the different LDL parameters, including NMR, particle size, all that. And what we found is on a high saturated fat diet, my response was to produce a shower of tiny atherogenic LDL particles, which is not good because it's those small particles that tend to lodge in the vessel walls. There was no inflammation, there were no other risk factors, no hypertension, no smoking, no diabetes, although a tendency to diabetes, like a risk for it, which is why I liked keto. And so the punchline of that was I went back to a regular Mediterranean diet. LDL went down, HDL went up. The weight kind of still fluctuated because I think the carbs, but most of it was because I would eat to emotionally self-soothe. So it was more a root cause that was beyond nutrition. It was more about emotion, repressed emotion, trauma, those kind of things. So the punchline there is now I'm on a Mediterranean type diet, and I find if I go to high saturated fat, I have all this shower of lipids. Now, here's the thing. You could say, well, you can have all those lipids, the high LDL, and some people say this, and they're big, buoyant particles, and they're not atherogenic. But mine aren't. They are small. And I did a coronary calcium scan back when I was 44 years old, about 8 years ago, and I actually live streamed it from Las Vegas. At that time, my coronary calcium score was 0, but 8 years later, I repeated it because I wanted to see. Because I've been very lax with the diet. I've been kind of eating a lot of saturated fat. My LDL was anywhere between 120 and 160. HDL was in the 50s somewhere. Triglycerides were like very, very low. So otherwise fine, no inflammation, same thing, no hypertension. And now I have a calcium score of 12, which is still trivial, but it's in all the vessels, tiny bit of calcium, and it just shows that there was some atherosclerosis with healing that shows up as calcium. Because all you see are the calcified plaques. You don't see the soft, unstable plaque that might be there. So at that point, I realized saturated fat and me don't get along. I had no other risk factors except for possibly stress, emotional repression, those kind of things, which had been kind of flaring up over the last 8 years as I travel around the world doing talks, raising my blood pressure at the time of the talk, raising my cortisol, all those things. So it's multifactorial, but the ultimate punchline to answer your question is it's so specific to the person. So my genetics don't get along with high animal saturated fat. They do really well now. I got my ApoB, which is the actual a better measure of the entire amount of atherogenic particles. It's like a fudge of that. The ApoB levels got them down from 100 something down to 77, which is really good. And my LDL is now like, what was it, 95 or something? And all I did was eat more sardines, salmon, fish, avocados, pecans, oatmeal, less saturated fat, less cheese, but still fudging here and there, and it seems to work fine. And then, of course, I exercise mostly by walking and doing weights in the gym. That's it. Nothing really hyper aerobic, although the gym weights tend to get the heart rate up. So it's so tailored for everybody. Somebody else's genetics is totally different. They may do really well with high saturated fat and a keto type carnivore diet without having increased risk of atherogenesis. My big concern more is stroke and dementia. You know, if I'm going to go out with a heart attack, that's fine, but I don't want to be a total gomer in the process, right? As we used to say back in the day when we turned a patient into a problem because we were stressed out and feeling unworthy. So that's kind of my take on that. So now I'm in that place. Now it may change tomorrow. I may find that my body changes, the metabolism changes. And in the setting of all that, no signs of diabetes or prediabetes, everything seems to be good. And I've lost a bunch of weight, but that was because the emotional repression, the trauma and stuff started getting processed through the body, and the weight just disappeared without me trying because I stopped randomly using food as comfort. As I've talked about, that started in January. It's kind of crazy. So yeah, that's kind of how it is. Kathy says she felt great on a keto diet, lost a bunch of weight, except kept getting auras and passing out due to low blood pressure. Now I'm fat and lazy and no longer pass out. I'll take fat and lazy and awake. Let's see. Yeah, if you don't feel good on a diet, what's the point? Yeah, I agree, Judy. You can't sustain it, and you only have one life. Enjoy it. Let's scroll down. Sylvia says, I had my genes tested, and I pretty much knew I shouldn't eat fats and carbs, but genetic testing proved that. I'm curious what genetic testing actually proves that. There may be some suggestive things, different things like if you're ApoE44, it's like, woo, well, you probably want to watch the lipids for sure because you're at high risk for Parkinson's, dementia, those kind of things based on that. That's just one example. Sue says Zen for weight loss. There's your money grab. Yeah, I mean, I could literally, if I wanted to be a self-help guru, I would talk about managing emotional repression, all the stuff around awakening. But by the way, listen to the punchline of this when I'm done because I'm telling you this as a story. I would talk about going into trauma. I would talk about energy work. I would talk about all these things in my own case that then led to this natural equilibrium with the body being where it wanted to be ultimately. And it could have been it wanted to be heavy. That's fine too. But whatever it was fine. And that's where it settled. So I could tell all those stories. It would be a total grifter money grab bullshit because everybody's different. I have no idea what's going on. This is all an epiphenomenon of whatever's happening here. I can't say it's causative. You may hear me and then naturally something may arise with you where you change something you do or look inward or whatever and something changes. That's great. But I can't say that anything I said was causative or anything I did was causative. So it doesn't make for a very successful YouTube channel pitching shit. You know, like one of these punk ass bitches online, of which there are many. Ashley says, what sucks is when you have to avoid something because you get really sick, even with small amounts. Oh yeah, because you have the gluten thing. Yeah, that sucks. That's painful. Melanie says, it's the strangest thing. If you want to lose weight, eat less. Instead of doing something, it's ceasing of something. It's weird. And I don't even know that because I certainly don't eat less. I think I eat differently, maybe. It feels like I eat the same. But what's probably subtly happening is I'm eating less at each meal and I don't even notice it because I'm not self-soothing. I'm not using food as a comfort mechanism anymore. Or at least if I do, it's very rare and I catch it, I see it, I'm like, oh man, what am I? I'm mindlessly eating this stuff. And yeah, it's been pretty magical over here, mysterious. But the strange thing is when it happens, you don't celebrate because part of the aspects of it is the one who would celebrate that final accomplishment that you've working all your life to stay in a weight range that you think is comfortable and I had to buy all new clothes and stuff. It's like, I actually ruled myself out for cancer because I was so perplexed why it was happening. And this has been a year now. And you just don't care. And I think part of it is the not caring. Like the whole thing, making it some achievement or some ambition or some concern. And then when that concern drops and there's just the natural balance of the body doing the body, again, with no center in it, it just seems to just go where it goes. And it could go to that you gain weight. It doesn't matter. You won't care. Dan says, I don't eat much at all to the point it's almost a problem. Weirdly, I almost always eat more and get hungry right before sleep, which is less healthy, but it is what it is. That's totally what it is. I know people who've gone through like a lot of this kind of awakening stuff, whatever that is, and they're like skeletal. Like it just seems to happen that way. And I know other people who still struggle with kind of weight, meaning it's still, they see it as a subtle issue, meaning they're heavier than maybe the BMI would be healthy by doctor standards, but they're perfectly happy with it. It's just exactly fine. That's what it is. You know, it's the end of resistance to whatever's happening. Now, I still have plenty of resistance, but it falls away a lot faster than it used to. And the things I used to really fixate on have kind of relaxed a lot. I mean, I don't think I recognize myself internally from 5 years ago, but from here, it's hard to say anything because it's all just like, yep, it's just ordinary. This kind of falling away of those things, but there's still so much there. And there are days like yesterday where I was just like, man, I'm such a self right now, like such a contracted, and it feels really bad. Like it feels like intolerable, but it's also kind of accepted as, okay, this is what's happening now. But there's a subtle movement in mind that's like, this has got to stop. Like something, I'm not looking at something because this contraction feels really uncomfortable. Because it's impossible to be just like a normal, kind of contracted, mind-identified human for very long. It feels like something's wrong. Which, to be honest, it felt like that all my life. I just couldn't put my finger on what it was. It was like nothing really makes me happy for long. And I'm always worried about the future and worried about the past. And I'm always up in my head. And it's like, yep, that's the mind identification state where you believe you're your thoughts. You believe you're your story. You believe you're you. And that can go. Initially intermittently, and then later more permanently, it seems. Hi, Jane? Jane Waynes. That's good. Jane waxes and Jane Waynes. Wax on. Wax off. I miss Mr. Miyagi, a.k.a. Arnold from Happy Days. Many people forget that. Emma, my dad always said he planned to enjoy food life and not hang around. Didn't work. Maybe we have less control than we'll ever know. Yeah, I'd say we have no control. So that is less control than we'll ever know. Because we always think there's some control. Even now, I could convince myself that I'm doing a live show and I plan to do it and I'm doing it for this or that reason, and that's all nonsense. Like, none of that's true. It's just happening. Like, my wife was upstairs taking a shower and I was like, I'm going to do a live show just because. She's like, yep. There's no like, why? What are you going to talk about? It's like, nope. You know, I got a new chair. I'm going to do a live show. That's all. I'll lay back in my chair. Whoa, it goes, whoa, really flat. Wow. This is a life, gang. Whoa. I think it actually disconnected from my, hold on. There we go. My little auto gimbal that follows me. Not that I need to be followed. It's not like I'm moving around. Dummy Zubin. What are your thoughts on Ozempic for weight loss? I mean, hey, great. If that works, wonderful. Seems to work for a lot of people. I think it's helped people I know a lot. I would have used it if I was grossly overweight. I think I would have tried it. If I were diabetic, I would have tried it. So nothing wrong with that. Just, I don't know. We tend to rely on these pills, but we don't even know what any of this is. So if that seems to work, then go for it, man. You know? Ashley says, this control topic is so funny. When I'm right before writing a big exam, I just giggle uncontrollably and think the universe is doing it again with dark humor. Yeah, there's a lot of giggling that seems to happen when I'm the most stressed. So yeah, like yesterday, I was just so contracted and no explanation for it. I was just like, this sucks to be alive right now. And then I was like, well, okay, you know it because you're suffering. So you look inside, you're like, where is this one that's having this drama? And then just laughter, because there's nothing there. It's just total emptiness. It's a radiance. Just dancing itself. And at that moment, the dance thinks that it is a person that's suffering. It's a really hilarious, you know? It's a comedy and a tragedy rolled into one. It's such a great little dance. Kathy says, did you ever do a live show and think, what the fuck was that, and regret it? Oh yeah, all the time. Anytime I do a live show and then afterwards I go into thought and try to remember or think about what I said and analyze it from a standpoint of a person, it's miserable. I'm like, I'm gonna just delete my whole channel. Because it's all mind stuff. It's all that unworthiness showing up as like story, and that's all conditioning. But if I go back and watch it, I'm usually like, oh, that guy's kind of interesting. Who's that? I can't even recognize what it is, and it's fine. It's all fine. And then you just let it go. So it's kind of like that now. Marathon Monk, I like that. A supporter of the channel, thank you for that. Hey Z-Dog, first time catching a live stream. Welcome. Thoughts on ketamine infusions? I had a glimpse into this emptiness. There was no need to even say anything to the nurse. So this is in the broader conversation of like drugs, psychedelics, etc., medications. I've done ketamine infusions. I did 2 guided journeys with a clinician at my studio and under, medical supervision. And yeah, the first time I did it, it was very much like that. It was like I'd forgotten, I couldn't even realize I'd taken a drug because there was no body, there was no mind, there was just pure awareness in a sea of nothing. That was the first experience. And then all this unconscious conditioning started coming up in that space where I could hold it. And I had these things from my adolescence came up that I'd totally forgotten, that seemed trivial at the time, but were felt fully like, oh my God, like that was unworthiness showing up, like an adult had made fun of me or something, and it just felt terrible to that child, and I felt it as the child. But the adult kind of vaguely remembers the story. It was like, that wasn't a big deal. The person was a dumbass. But the child didn't think that. The 14-year-old didn't think that. It was like the end of the world for them. And so I was allowing that inner movement to actually fully express as like hurt, sadness, betrayal, all these things. And then as this awareness, just hold it, in this very loving, compassionate way, allow it to express. So tears and all this with the blindfold on and everything. So for me, that first ride with the ketamine was really powerful. And then the second one was more, it just showed me like all the tethered connections and beautiful interconnection of life. Like, that my family, the loved ones, they showed up as like a tree that shared a common root. And they were branches on this tree. It was really beautiful. Now, here's the question. Did any of that matter at all? I don't know. I can't say it did anything because I can't say it didn't. All I know is here I am doing this. So I can't say go do ketamine, don't go do ketamine. I just say there's a lot of traps and pitfalls with medicine because we want it, we have a lot of expectation, and often people are disappointed or they're surprised. So if you're going to do those things, do them with a guide and do them with an open heart and mind, knowing that you don't know what's going to happen. But you're going in, leaning into potential darkness, meaning shadow stuff coming up, stuff that's uncomfortable. It's not going to be unicorns and rainbows all the time. It can be really challenging. So yeah, that's my take on that. Iron Twist says, so pleased to join a live session while in hospital having ketamine infusions for chronic pain. I feel like it's got great neuromodulatory potential. Hope you and the family are well. Oh man, that's beautiful. So this is the thing. I have a mixed love-hate for ketamine. I had a great experience, but I only did it twice and I have no desire to ever do it again. I don't have chronic pain in that way that you might. So I have chronic neck pain, but it's not something that I would treat beyond just, sitting with it. So everybody's different. But I've had friends who've died of ketamine abuse because it has a euphoric component, has an addictive component, it has a escape component, dissociation component. It can give you these delusions that you've been shown the secrets of the universe, and then when you're back in waking consciousness, they're impossible to grasp, but they were real, which is just another experience. That's the knowing that something's real. Like that's a whole hallmark of the psychedelic mystical experiences. There's an ineffable truth is shown to you. I don't know. I'm going to say something here. It's going to be controversial, maybe. That's bullshit. Ineffable truth. What the fuck is that? It's another experience. There is no such thing as ineffable truth. Okay? I don't know where these words are coming from. This is just how Zubin wants to express right now. You can do all the drugs in the world. You can have insights, apparent glimpses into the nature of reality, into your own consciousness, into what consciousness is, into the everything is love, all these different, everything is energy, everything is empty, all these different things. They don't mean a fucking hill of beans. It's another experience, another radiant appearance. And that appearance can have a valence of realness. It feels totally real, or it feels unreal. You can come out of that doing some stupid shit, like, oh man, well, I just saw everything was one, so I'm just gonna fucking stop saving for retirement, or whatever the fuck it is. And it's just not like that. So the more of those things I did, the more I realized it's all just pointing me back to this. It's just this, just the phenomena, just lifing itself. There's no truth. There's no ineffable truth. That's all fun experience. Beautiful, fun, fantastic. One of the highest experiences humans can have are those mystical states. They don't amount to a fucking hill of beans. It's just vapor. What is, and that's always psychedelic as fuck. Because you're just looking at it like this. This is absolute radiant mystery to the mind. You know, and maybe it shows up as a crazy mystical experience where you download the secrets of the universe and past lives and future lives and what is consciousness and all the interconnections, and yay, fun story. Great times, high fives. Equivalently, you can have an evil, horrible, wretched, paranoid experience that feels as real as that, and be scarred because you think it was real. It's not. Nothing is. Everything is provisional. Everything is impermanent. Everything is just what it is. Dance, dance, dance. Judy says, just curious, have you done any TM recently? I feel like I'm drowning in thought sometimes, and it does address that, but I just don't do it. Can't seem to get into the habit. Okay, so here's the thing with transcendental meditation, or any meditation, any practice. They're a practice, which means there's a doer that does them. So typically, you can do them different ways. They can just be done. They can just arise. Like you learn transcendental meditation when you're younger, and then suddenly you're just doing a mantra, and thought is quieting, and there's just the mantra, and then there's just what, is happening, and you can have these profound, expansive consciousness states. But do me a favor. Go and watch these TM guys talk. So like there's a guy, I forget, he's a doctor, and he actually, I think his PR people tried to get him on my show, and I just watched how he expresses. And it's all innocent, by the way. People don't know that and I don't know what I'm talking about, but I like to take a shit on people, so I'm going to take a shit on this guy because I think this is misleading at some point. In my experience, I'm just talking for me. He's talking about like, there's a transcendent, and they all talk like this, like there's a transcendent radiant bliss of consciousness. It's all just consciousness, and you just, TM is the only way to get there because you transcend transcendental meditation. You transcend thought. You transcend this body. You transcend the manifestation, and then it's all consciousness, and it's all happening in that. And that's all lovely and great and totally fucking transient and another story. I can't find consciousness. I can't find transcendence. There's only this. So those meditation practices can put you in those wonderful states that can be extremely open, empty, magical, relaxing, stress relieving, blood pressure reducing, all wonderful things. They may even set you up for a kind of deeper insight that can arise in those states, where the impermanence, insubstantiality, the emptiness of everything shows up and the you drops. So that can happen. So in that sense, they make you a little accident prone for that accident to happen. Maybe. I don't even know if that's true. And I've done all these things. And so at some point you realize, well, why am I not doing it? Am I resisting? Am I just not good at it? Is there unworthiness here that I'll never get this awakening thing, that I don't meditate because I'm lazy or I'm not good at it? It's like, no. It's because this is what's happening. So it's like at some point, maybe that doesn't happen and you start doing TM, or maybe you see that TM's bullshit for you and you go do something else, or something else arises, or you just move on with your life. And yeah, thought is all over the place. There's no problem with thought. Like yesterday, it seemed there was a problem with thought for me because I was up in my head feeling like a full-on person. But I saw, I mean, it was obvious. It was like, yeah, that's happening. And I didn't really make it a big problem. There was a subtle seeking, like a subtle, like, maybe I should do something about this. And then there was a realization that that's not how this works. That's never how this has worked. This is what's arising right now. Allow it fully. It's a complete surrender to what's happening. So the surrender for you might be that you don't want to do that shit right now. And then what you might find is something paradoxical. When that surrender kind of happens and the acceptance, then something arises. It's a different type of meditation, or it's that meditation. So yeah, so TM McGee, Dr. whatever the hell his name is, just like, yeah. But then if you really push them, and I've seen him in interviews getting pushed by people, you know, when you really get down to no self, there's like a defense. There's like a no, you are this radiant consciousness. It's like, okay, buddy, good luck with that. See if that's something that's stable, that's permanent, that you find. It's not. It's a state. That feeling that you're a radiant consciousness is a state. It arises and falls away. So what doesn't arise and fall away? This is, well, it's all arising and falling away, and it's not arising and not falling away. It's exactly what it is. Why do we need to come up with these different images of consciousness and big mind and capital S self and all that? I mean, it's all fine. It's what's arising. But I don't know about truth. I don't know what truth is, because it's staring at us. There's nothing more true than what this is. Because it can't be said. Because it's just what it is. Not very satisfying. Dr. Dan says, for me, disconnecting from electronic devices and distractions can help with meditation. No phones, no iPad, no laptops, unplug. That's been my experience, because we're distracted into this matrix of societal thought and conditioning. And anything you do to stop that, to unplug, is helpful. That's why I like to sit in this here chair, doing nothing. That's why I go to cafes and do nothing. I just sip my drink and I look. I'm just present. I take that back. People who say I'm just present, I want to fucking throat punch them. And a lot of great people and a lot of good friends say that shit. And I used to say that shit. There's no fucking present. There's no you being present. That's a story that we tell. What I'm describing is sitting and doing nothing, trying to do nothing, no movement to do something, just sitting. So whatever's arising is arising. What does that have to do with presence? Presence is a story. Presence implies there's not presence. When can there not be presence? There's only this. Man, there's a lot of great comments here. I'm behind. Okay. Marathon Monk says, have you heard of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism? Popular in Japan. If you can get past the cultural religious stuff, it ends up boiling down to, I'm a fool and I can't do anything to make this happen. I like the story of that. That's a good one. I've been to Japan, been to Zen temples, and been to a esoteric Buddhist monastery where we stayed the night. And there was chanting and all that. And a nighttime walk through a cemetery. I made a video about this. It was magical. It had a mystical feel. I felt like there were past lives showing themselves to me, that I was formerly a Japanese person. Like crazy shit. All experience, all wonderful. But pointing at something beautiful, I think, which is, yeah, we don't do this. So you go be a monk and you do all these things, but in the end, it's just to realize you never did anything, you never could, and everything was fine. It's a cosmic joke. Duck says, it's more enjoying the journey than longing for the destination. Wow, beautiful. Thanks for being a supporter, by the way. The longing for the destination is part of the seeking energy of the human mind. By the way, there's no human mind. They're just the appearance of thought, going to impulse, going to urge, going to emotion, going to sensation, going to story, going to belief. But that pattern of appearance is constantly apparently looking to an apparent future for an apparent solution to apparent problems that it creates. That's it. That's the whole mind. So when we start trying to do transcendental meditation, in a sense, we're taking that seeking energy and we're subverting it into a doing of something. And the hope is that that doing of something will relax this very seeking mechanism that instigated it, and then you'll be fully fucking awake. Maybe. But I don't know. My feeling, what Zubin wants to say is good luck with that. So what do you do? Who fucking knows? It happens, or it doesn't. And but my suspicion is it tends to happen to people who are drawn to those things, whose seeking mind wants to seek the end of its own suffering. There almost has to be a wanting for it to happen. Not always, but often. And so sometimes it seems the seeking mind just burns itself out, and then there you are, here, where you could never, ever have left. Let's see. Hey, check this out, man. I don't know if this will work. Hold on. There we go. Let me turn off the follow. So I've got this little thing on a gimbal, and there's my light, and there's my yard. There's my reflection of my light. There's the view out over the bay, San Francisco Bay. And here's my laptop, where I'm looking at your comments, and my tootsies, as my mother would say, the light, and this cool fun chair that I love, that's brand new. All right. What'd that have to do with anything? Nothing and everything. Let me center myself here. There we go. Now it should follow me by itself. Cool. All right, let's go back. Oh, marathon. Yeah, the egg chair. Yeah, I love that egg chair. It's a 2-person egg chair. Kind of fancy pants. Oh, thanks, Jojo. Yeah, we spent a year remodeling the backyard because what else is there to do at that point? When you've reached Maslow's hierarchy and you've got food, you've got love, you've got community, then it's like, well, let's have a backyard. That's what I call self-actualization. Duck says, I hope to try psychedelics to expand consciousness or extinguish ego to see if I gain insight. All right, duck. Let's talk. I've done every psychedelic, practically. I've made videos about it. They don't do shit. Nothing does anything. You'll have experiences. They may show you different things, traumas, etc. It may be exactly what's supposed to happen. Beautiful. Go do it then. If you're called to it, go do it. Do it with a guide or don't. Just do it if you're called to it. But don't expect anything. If you're going to anyways, but I'm just going to tell you this from my own experience. Insight, forget about it. Awakening, not a chance. It's going to be exactly what it is. And that's going to be the next thing that happens in your unfolding. And where you're going anyways. You're going there because you don't have a choice, because you're not doing it. And you never were. This whole thing is a clockwork playing itself out. If the clockwork includes psychedelics, great. But if it includes you saying, I'm going to gain insight or maybe have ego dissolution or whatever, that's a story. It's a beautiful story. And I had the same, I tell you this as someone who did that shit, who said those things exactly. I'm doing this to have ego dissolution or to gain insight. And it's like, those things may have arisen, but they didn't mean shit. It's all an epiphenomenon of this mystery, really. And I'm telling you my experience. So I may be totally wrong. I have no idea. In fact, I know I don't know shit. That's the one thing I can be sure of. So take everything I say with like 20 grains of salt. Whole bag of salt. Carol Dean, I tried ketamine a couple times and it was fun, but it didn't do much for me, probably because I already know I'm one with everything. Yeah, well, one of the interesting things, like, 5-MeO-DMT, which I've done a couple times in different ways. That's one of the most powerful psychedelics known to man. Like, it makes ketamine look moronic. in terms of experience, in terms of just pure like energetic experience. It makes ketamine look like you've been hit on the head with a brick. And all it showed me is what I already knew, which is like, it's this. Just laughter, like it's all empty radiance. That's it. Everything else is part of the dance and the story, and there's nothing wrong with the story because the story and the dance are the empty radiance. It's the same thing. They're not separate at all. There's no separation at all. So even the I'm one with everything, that's a beautiful way of saying something that you can't say, which is there's no separation. I mean, even that's stupid. It doesn't make sense. Like, of course there's separation. Look, that's a thought. That's a appearance. But really, there's just what's happening. So there's no I that's separate from anything because there's no I. So you can't even, like for me, I can't even say I'm one with everything because that makes no sense because there's no I that I can find when I look. There's only everything. So it's semantics to the extent you say, well, I'm one with everything because there's no I and I'm everything. That's fine. I don't think it's necessary. I think it's just there's everything. There's lifing. That's how it shows up here. Your mileage will vary. David Jackson says, action is the answer to your insight regarding psychedelics. Yeah, I don't quite know what that means. Maybe you can elaborate. Let's see. All DMT showed me was clowns. So many clowns, says Iron Twist. It showed me some interesting, like deep childhood experience. It showed me like a lot of shame around some stuff. It showed me energetics that moved through the body. It showed me death, what death was. It's nothing. It never was. No birth and death. That's not a thing. That's a story that the mind creates, birth and death. And you go, well, I've seen people die. I've lost loved ones, this, that, the other thing. Okay. I'm telling you it's not real. And I'm not saying it's not real that you live forever. I'm saying it's not even, the question doesn't even arise anymore as to what death is, because I know it's just the mind asking, bullshit. That's how weird it is for the mind. It's like, what do you mean there's no death? There's no death. People are like, well, I've heard about near-death experiences where you go to this light and all that. Yeah, that's an experience. It's another phenomena. What the MEO showed was, bro, that's all phenomena. And they're the same as the no thing from which all this is happening. God, the minute I start to try to talk about it, it's nonsense. Let's just say this. It was like this. Just laughing. Like, come on. Every time I've done it. Yeah. Dan says, see, now you're saying psychedelics changed your perspective. So I'm saying psychedelics were done. And they showed me what I already knew. For me. It was the same display. Now, again, because I don't know what causation is, I can't say anything did anything. That's why I'm kind of speaking this way. Psychedelics don't do anything. They show up when they show up. And then they're done, and the experience is had. And then we tell stories about insights and clarity and not clarity and bad trips and good trips and my God did this and that. And that's all wonderful. It's all fine. I did it all. So I can't say, I'm not telling you don't do it. I'm saying, okay, from here, I'm going to express how it's seen, which is, it's a fucking clown show. Statistics help me realize nothing is true. That's great, Dose Boy. That's a good use of statistics. Dan Riddick, but they changed your perspective nonetheless, whether for better or for worse, they did. I guess, Dan, what I'm saying is I don't think they did. Because all of that I had going into the journeys. They just reinforced. I can't even say they reinforced it because afterwards it was felt like I didn't need to do that. It was strange. Now, what was kind of helpful was seeing the sort of traumatic stuff come up. It was almost like what you might call shadow work on steroids, but I don't know what shadow work is even. It's just seeing everything that's there without too much resistance. And they did facilitate that, but I can do that without that. So it's hard to know. And again, I'm not saying don't do them. Like Zubin did them. Did all the things. So that may be in the cards for you, or it may not. But certainly, I don't think it's a must. And I certainly can't ascribe causation to anything anymore, which is weird. You see why I'm not a very good YouTube personality these days, because can't give advice, not trying to get anything from you. If you want to like support the channel, that's wonderful. It allows me to do what I do. But if you don't, then I'll just stop doing what I do. And it will make no difference. But it's also nice that there's a group of people with like minds that get together and share, because it helps me. It seems to help me. Again, I can't really ascribe causation, but I do this. It just arises and I'm like, yeah, I was good. And it's because I'm selfish. Selfish meaning like, if it wasn't good for Zubin, it probably wouldn't happen. The character wouldn't do it. So something's up. Pip! I'm just sitting here watching the wheels go round and round. John Lennon. Those motherfuckers knew what was up. Ashley says, I think what you're trying to point to is psychedelics won't give you the freedom you think they will. That's my feeling. There are a few people who've had these, claim they've had these really big shifts, permanent shifts from psychedelics, and I'm sure that's the case for them. I'm sure it is. If they say so, I'm sure it is, because they're describing their experience. Wasn't the case here. But they were, I mean, I did LSD in college, and I think it kind of changed my, at that time, there was nothing else that had arisen, no meditation. I thought everything was concrete. And then to see that the mind could do that was kind of a gate. It was like, oh, this is a vast mystery. This isn't really explicable with just gates and ion channels. There's something else going on. So that was kind of interesting. Dan Riddick, we love it, Z. I think you're full of shit most of the time, but hell, you make me think. I love it. I love that. That's my favorite comment. I love that you think I'm full of shit. Isn't that beautiful? Because that's exactly right. For you, I am. Isn't that great? Because only Dan knows what's happening with Dan. And I love the way you express. It's beautiful. And you always have great comments. Marathon Monk, something I read is that the more the therapist and the client believe something will work, the more effective it will be. I find that I don't have the chutzpah to really believe in something, though. Yeah, so you're actually lucky in a way. So let me speak to this. This is a great marathon. This is a great point, I think. Let me sit up a little bit because I think this is important. We all know in medicine the placebo effect. I've seen it work. It's worked on me. Humans are incredibly suggestible because we're all intertwined. That's just one. There's no distinction, really. This is human consciousness. That's it, as an appearance. So we're influenced by everything, everybody, every guru, every non-guru, everybody who talks, me talking to you, you talking to me. We're tweaking each other. It's true in a therapeutic relationship in psychedelics, very much so. I've definitely seen that and experienced that suggestibility. And when it comes to spiritual awakening and this sort of path, my experience now is consistent with the following. And again, this is Zubin's story. All of this shit is what other people have said until it stops being that. So you're so conditioned that every guru you hear, every teacher, every non-duality speaker on YouTube is saying shit that they've heard in some way, tweaking it slightly, believing it, feeling it, experiencing it, regurgitating it. Such that it's all a self-fulfilling fucking cluster circle jerk at some point. And at some point you see that. You're like, oh shit, all the teachers are saying this shit that they've been handed down from the Zen masters of old and this and they say, oh, well, that's the tradition and that's why it's true because it's ancient wisdom. And shut the fuck up. You don't need ancient wisdom. You don't need anyone else's story. You don't need any suggestion. You don't need any other words of what this is. This is just Zubin talking, so take it with a grain of salt. The fuck is that? Someone ringing the bell. I don't know if I'm supposed to go out there or not. I better Better text my wife and tell her to check that. Hold on. Oh, just a delivery? Okay, thanks. Because there was someone I think, oh, those guys never came. Okay. Logistics. Okay. So all these teachers, gurus, books, Adyashanti, Rupert Spira, Muji, Osho, any number of the non-duality speakers on YouTube, they're all going to talk because you got to use words. And every word they use is borrowed from somewhere else. And if you pay close enough attention, you will see that is true. They're taking it from this tradition, from this teacher, from this book, from this lineage, from their teacher, from this, that. And that's how humans are, because we're all just conditioned machines that way. Have you ever thought that anything a human says about this is bullshit? Like, can't be what it is? Because it's not an it, and it's not an is, and it's not a what, it's this. And you can just trust your experience fully. Some teachers will say, trust your experience. They're aping what other people say. But the truth is, trust your experience. Meaning this. But be careful, because trust your experience, every single one of those words is rife with misunderstanding. Trust means belief to some people, and belief is not what this is. Your means you're having an experience. Can you find the you that's having the experience? You just say this, experience, trust this. Okay. But then be careful, because this may be an appearance of experience that has a quality of a belief that there's magic in the world and everything is consciousness or something like that. Well, now you trust that and you're like, okay, I believe there's everything is consciousness, which is fine. That's a beautiful story for your body mind to have. What if even that just and you just see it as experience, as another experience with a valence? So what is it then? It's just a radiant appearance, exactly what it is. It's the appearance. That's all you can really say. You can't say there's any truth here. All I can say is I see these appearances are arising. Sensations, thoughts, smells, tastes, sounds. That's it. That's all I can say. And all the teachers and everybody are giving you a framework for this, and it's TM, and it's non-duality, and it's just sitting, and it's shikantaza, and it's, koans, and it's Vedic scriptures, and it's the Bible, and it's this and it's that. It's all great, all wonderful story. It's all suggestible. All you're doing is conditioning yourself with new shit, and then you're believing it. It's all, in my feeling now here, how it seems is that all has to die. All of it has to die. People will disagree with me, and that's beautiful. They'll say I'm full of shit, and that's great too. I probably am. Doesn't feel like that. And that means I'm not sure I can trust that truth, because maybe that's not true. So that's my take. KB Shrink says, love your not knowing and humility. To be careful though, I know there's not knowing, but I'm not sure there's humility, because sometimes the ego can arise and own this thing. Even the realizing you don't know, the ego subtly will own it. Be like, I'm the one who doesn't know. I'm the one who's, the not knower, and everybody else is conditioned. It's like, good luck with that. If you can open your mouth about it, it's coming from somewhere in a conditioned story. It's nice to somehow that can be seen too as just part of the appearance, the radiance. Duck Duck says, I'm still tripping about seeing you like this after seeing you in person in Austin, speaking to a bunch of stuffy MDs and telling jokes with crazy slides that were hilarious. Wanted to join you in Las Vegas. That's awesome. You were there? Austin was fun. That was a different life, wasn't it? That Zubin was somewhere on this journey, but he was a character trying to prove that he was worth being amongst us. And he believed that he could change medicine, and all it took was doing a bunch of talks. But at a deeper level, he's like, oh, I got to do something, because otherwise they're going to all figure out that I don't know what the hell's going on. And it turns out no one does. So yeah, there were, I don't know that they were stuffy in Austin. They were less stuffy than in other places. But anytime you talk to physicians, it's a clusterfuck. because they're these refined. Now I'm aping someone someone else. Angelo DeLulo talks about this he's talked about this with me, that physicians have and he's a physician, called refined egos. So they are really good at, managing intellectually, having societal accolades. Their ego has been reinforced in a million different ways. And so it's very good. It's very good at adapting and being kind of slick. But if you really head on attack it, if you go straight for the heart, they will defend, fall apart, get aggressive. And I've seen it happen again and again and again, because they're really they're white knuckling their way through it, and they don't even know it sometimes. Dan Riddick says, you are worth it. That's really sweet of you, Dan, but I would actually even discount that and say there is no worth it and not worth it, because there's just what's happening. So like even the idea of worthiness has to go in that sense. It just has to go. I don't know where it goes. I don't know how to do that. But when it relaxes, it's like, whoa, there's only this. There's nobody even here. Marathon says, in that ketamine setting, I had uncontrollable laughter about how all of the stories teachings were, although the Buddha said even the Dharma is empty, which made me think, that's it right there. Okay. Even the Dharma is empty. So again, the Buddha is full of shit too, because we don't know what he said, but it's all passed down in oral tradition. It's all been molested by the hierarchy of organized Buddhism and religion. But one of the funniest things is like the Diamond Sutra, where the Buddha is just like, all those things I said, this, that, the other thing, fivefold noble path, this, that was just a way of speaking, right? You guys know that. There's really nothing going on. There's no one to wake up. There's no awakening. None of this is happening. And you're just like, damn, homie, you're the founder of religion. How the hell did that ever stick? The truth is that's not the part that stuck. The part that stuck is I can meditate to more peace and equanimity. I can be less selfish and more selfless. I can, just identify from my thoughts a little bit. I can feel compassion and practice compassion for others. That's what people took from the religion. But the true message was, bro, nothing happening. And then just a huge smile. It's like, it's a cosmic joke and it's beautiful. So then there's all this radiant appearance, totally empty. Snape says, this shit is good in doses for me. I can't dissolve right now, but it's good to melt some rough edges. Yeah, you just find that shit's going to go as it goes. Yeah. A little something here, a little something there arises. Start repeating some of the phrases because that's what happens. We get incepted, then you let that go, then something happens, some traumatic memory comes up and emotion and shadow and all that bullshit. It just plays itself out. The best we can do is get out of the way, and I don't even know how to do that. So it's a mystery. Hey, Mike, the human condition is do, do, do. That's what it does. Do, do, do. It's doo-doo. Let's see. No thanks. We're nihilists, Lebowski. We believe in nothing. Nothing, Lebowski. Our girlfriend gave up her toe. Yeah, the nihilists and the Big Lebowski is great. Hard to be an actual nihilist though, because it's just your conditioning is going to do what it does. I'm not conditioned to actually behave like a nihilist, even though this is all empty. It's like, no, I'm conditioned to fucking do shit. So that's what's going to happen with no resistance. It's nihilism and it's not. It's like, there's no ism. Just exactly what it is. Sue says the Bahiya Sutra was super cool until I realized, bro, went on to be killed by a cow 30 minutes after its realization. Exactly. Bahiya Sutra, which mentioned on the show before, in the seen, merely the seen, in the heard, merely the heard, in the felt, merely the felt, in the cognized, merely the cognized. Notice that there's no you in that. You're neither here nor there, and just this is the end of suffering. So basically it's saying there's only the appearance. There's only what's apparently happening with no consciousness aware of it, no person aware of it, no self, no self, just what it is. And Bahiya, of the bark cloth, the monk who Buddha told this to because he asked 3 times. You got to ask 3 times, otherwise he's not giving you shit. You ask 1 time, Buddha's like, I'm busy, I'm taking a shit. You ask 2 times, Buddha's like, hey, I'm begging for food out here. Don't ask me right now. You ask 3 times, he's like, 3rd time's the charm. Here's the secret of the universe. In the seen, merely the seen. In the heard, merely the heard. In the sensed, merely the sensed. In the cognized, merely the cognized. When you see in that way, there's no you here or there or in between. And just this is the end of suffering. And Bahiya's like, whoa, full enlightenment. 30 minutes later, gets killed by a cow protecting her calf. And they go to Buddha and go, hey, Bahiya ate a bowl of dick. And Buddha's like, well, that motherfucker was fully liberated off the wheel of samsara, totally bury him as a fully enlightened being. And they were like, but I've been monking for like my whole life, and you didn't say that about me. So funny. Do you have faith that it'll all be okay in the end, regardless of what has happened during your life or what you have done? Oh, dude, it's already okay. It's totally okay. Even when it's not okay, it's like, that's okay. It's not even faith. It's like, no, that's just a fact. Like it's known. It is known, Khaleesi. So yeah, I guess I do. Marathon Monk. I've been having an issue finding my voice and speaking with confidence, and it's gotten worse since my glimpsing this because I honestly feel like I don't know shit anymore. It's all garbage coming out, or garbo. Yeah, garbled. Yeah, it's like that. Yay! So what? So what? What voice? That is your voice, the voice that feels like it's all garbled. There it is. That's you right now. 5 seconds later, it'll be something different. It's beautiful. Doesn't have to be any way other than that. That's gorgeous. Kathy says, a 7-year-old with oppositional defiance disorder punched me today while I was protecting some 6-year-old girls from getting hit. Such a small kid with big feelings. So much adrenaline, my neck still hurts. Wow, man. The human manifestation's crazy. Have you guys seen this horrible show on Hulu called All's Fair? It's a Kardashian vehicle. And it's got like Glenn Close and Naomi Watts and like Al Bundy and all these actors, these famous actors. And it is so bad that we've watched every single episode. It's just terrible garbage. Like most superficial, horrible, like these characters don't even seem to have internal lives. It's god awful. And yet there's something so compelling about it because it's just pure human bullshit. Like you're like, yeah, that's how humans are. Yeah, they're bullshit like that. Yep. It's great. It's so entertaining. So this little kid with the oppositional defiant disorder is no different than Kim Kardashian wearing a shit ton of stuff, getting Botox and, a vaginal lasering to smooth out her vagina. Like, it's the same shit. It's all fucking crazy. I said vagina. David Jackson jumped on the Wahoo trainer, searched for a vid, and then you popped up. I've seen you before, but it's been a while. You bring a smile to my face. How did the algorithm know I needed a bump of Z? Dude, the algorithm's like ready to mainline me right into your brain, man. I love it. Or not, man. I don't. Gender is hard on YouTube. Doc Vicky, maybe that is speaking in tongues. It's just garbled. Maybe. Okay. I think I gotta go because I think I'm gonna help my wife make din din. Let me see. I'm gonna grab this thing. Oh, look, we can get a little halo effect. Kind of cool. All right. There we go. This was a lot of fun. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for hanging out, like 80 people. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving in the US, so we'll pretend to show gratitude. We'll deal with our crazy relatives. We'll repress a bunch of emotion, and we'll express other emotion inappropriately. It's going to be great. So enjoy, stay safe, murder a turkey or 3, murder some cranberries, murder some stuffing, because, you know, all stuffing lives matter. That's it. Thanks again, you guys. I'll see you later. Peace out.